Traffic police. North Korea is one of the only countries in the world where traffic police and traffic ladies still stand at intersections, even in cities with almost no cars. These women, selected for height and appearance, perform rigid hand signals and repetitive motions to direct non-existent traffic. Their presence is symbolic rather than practical, as the number of private vehicles in Pyongyang is minimal compared to global cities. Most intersections could be managed by simple traffic lights, but North Korea maintains this system to project order, discipline, and control, turning what should be a functional job into a ceremonial display with little real purpose. Elevator operator. In North Korean high-rise apartments and government buildings, elevator operators are often stationed inside the lift to press buttons for passengers. This practice is unnecessary because modern elevators are designed for self-operation. Operators typically sit on a small stool, waiting for someone to enter, then press the requested floor button, sometimes even refusing to allow passengers to touch the controls themselves. In many cases, buildings are so poorly supplied with electricity that elevators barely function, making the operator's role even less relevant. The job exists largely to provide the illusion of employment and to reinforce the state's emphasis on assigned labor over efficiency. Grass cutters. One unusual occupation in North Korea involves people assigned to cut grass along roadsides and public spaces using scissors or small hand tools instead of machines. Workers, often including students or local residents, are ordered to kneel or bend for hours, trimming grass by hand. The reason is not efficiency, but the government's lack of modern landscaping equipment and its insistence on showcasing discipline and mass participation. This kind of work is highly inefficient, as entire groups are mobilized to perform a task that could be completed in minutes with a mower. The role symbolizes wasted manpower directed toward appearances rather than productivity. Queue holder. In many shops, train stations, and distribution centers, North Korea employs people whose only responsibility is to stand in line for others. These professional queuers occupy positions in long, state-controlled queues, sometimes for hours or days, until the actual person with authority or resources arrives to claim the spot. The practice emerged because goods are scarce, and waiting lines are often the only way to access them. Instead of creating a fair system of distribution, the state tolerates and even organizes this labor. The result is a redundant job that devotes human effort solely to holding a physical place in line. Loudspeaker operators. Across North Korea, there are workers assigned to manage outdoor loudspeakers that broadcast government announcements, propaganda music, and daily schedules. These loudspeakers are permanently mounted in villages, cities, and even remote areas, often connected by wired systems dating back decades. The operator's role is to turn them on, adjust volume, and ensure continuous broadcasting. With modern technology, this function could be automated or eliminated, but the regime maintains it to guarantee that people cannot escape official messaging. The job serves no productive economic purpose, as it exists only to reinforce control, creating employment that revolves entirely around maintaining state propaganda channels. Bench guards. In public parks and along streets in Pyongyang, workers are sometimes assigned to guard benches. Their task is to prevent people from sitting on them for too long, lying down, or using them improperly. This position has no real function beyond monitoring ordinary behavior that poses no threat. The role reflects the regime's obsession with surveillance and order, where even sitting furniture is regulated. Instead of maintaining public spaces in practical ways, resources are directed into unnecessary monitoring. The job exists not because of public need, but because of the state's desire to enforce strict rules on even the smallest aspects of life. Office typists. Despite the presence of computers, many North Korean offices still employ typists whose only role is to manually copy documents. These workers often use outdated typewriters or low-grade word processors to reproduce materials that could be shared digitally. The reason lies in the government's strict control of information. Computers with internet access are heavily restricted, so paper documents remain dominant. Typists may also be tasked with retyping documents word for word to create official copies rather than duplicating them mechanically. This makes the role largely redundant, consuming time and manpower on tasks that are automated elsewhere, but it fits the regime's preference for control over efficiency. Portrait cleaners. A designated group of workers in North Korea is tasked with maintaining and cleaning portraits of the country's leaders, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. Every household, school, and office must display these portraits, and it is forbidden to let them collect dust or hang crooked. Portrait inspectors visit homes and workplaces to ensure compliance, while cleaners are responsible for polishing and caring for the images. The work has no practical value outside of politics, as it exists solely to reinforce reverence for the leadership. Instead of productive labor, these jobs are about enforcing loyalty through the daily upkeep of symbols. Street guiders. On major roads and near government buildings, North Korea employs people whose sole duty is to stand and point the way, even when signs or maps would suffice. These guiders often wear uniforms and remain at fixed posts, giving directions to pedestrians or vehicles, even if the destination is obvious. Their presence is not about efficiency, but about projecting an image of order and constant state oversight. In many cases, they simply repeat the same directions all day long. The job wastes manpower while serving as another reminder that the government prefers visible control over practical or modern solutions. Behavior monitors. In schools, factories, and offices, North Korea designates individuals as monitors, whose job is to watch others and report on behavior. These monitors are not supervisors in the usual sense. Instead, they act as informants tasked with recording whether colleagues or students display proper loyalty to the regime. Their duties include checking if people bow to portraits, sing patriotic songs correctly, or make political mistakes in conversation. This role produces no material output and consumes manpower for surveillance. The function is entirely political, designed to instill fear and compliance, turning what could be productive workers into tools of constant observation. Lineup organizers. In many workplaces and schools, North Korea assigns people to organize daily lineups. Their task is to ensure that everyone stands in perfect formation before entering a building, attending events, or even starting the workday. These organizers focus on spacing, posture, and silence, sometimes spending more time arranging the lineup than the activity itself. This practice reflects the regime's emphasis on discipline and collective order over productivity. Instead of letting people gather naturally, manpower is wasted on enforcing strict visual displays of obedience. The job exists purely for show, turning a simple gathering into a choreographed act of political symbolism. Event clappers. At political rallies, performances, and public speeches, North Korea designates groups of people whose sole responsibility is to clap on cue. These clappers are positioned strategically in the audience to lead applause, ensuring that the entire crowd follows in unison. Their timing and enthusiasm are carefully rehearsed, sometimes with hours of practice before an event. The purpose is not genuine appreciation, but the appearance of unanimous support for the leadership. This job has no productive function beyond orchestrating the illusion of mass approval. It is a clear example of labor devoted entirely to political theater rather than practical necessity. Work watchers. In factories, construction sites, and even farms, North Korea employs workers who do not participate in production but simply watch others work. Their duty is to ensure no one slows down, takes breaks, or deviates from assigned tasks. Unlike supervisors in other countries, these watchers rarely provide guidance or technical support. Instead, they exist to enforce discipline and loyalty, reporting even minor lapses to higher authorities. The position consumes manpower without contributing to output, as one person's entire job is surveillance. This reflects the regime's priority on control and ideological conformity rather than productivity or efficient labor management. If these bizarre jobs gave you a glimpse into North Korea's strange reality, the next video dives even deeper. We'll uncover the darkest secrets hidden behind the country's walls, things far more unsettling than useless labor. Subscribe now so you don't miss what's really going on inside North Korea.